Oh Lord, how could my own husband betray me with my sister friend of 40 years? I whispered to the empty garage, my hands trembling as I stared at that long, dark strand of hair tangled in his dandruff cream tube. I, Zanele, Washington, a 65-year-old black woman from Atlanta's Chocolate City, had built our life on stitches of trust, sewing quilts with Delilah under the old oaks, praying together in our Baptist church on Auburn Avenue, only to feel the sharp rip of betrayal from the two people I loved most. Heartbroken and furious, I didn't scream or confront. I just secretly replaced that cream with a sticky mix of fabric glue and talc from my sewing kit, my resolve hardening like a needle through tough cloth. And what happened next forced our neighbors to dial the cops to cut them loose from our clawfoot tub. I'm so glad you're here. If you're watching this video, please like and subscribe to my channel and tell me in the comments where you're listening to my story of revenge from. I want to know how far it's traveled. That single strand of hair caught the dim garage light like a sliver of betrayal, twisting my gut as I stared at it, pinched between my thumb and calloused fingertips. It was Delilah's, had to be. The way it curled just so, thick and dark with that faint wave from her weekly press and curl at Miss Ruby's salon down on Auburn Avenue. We'd been doing each other's hair since we were girls, giggling over hot combs and gossip about boys who didn't deserve us. Now here it was, tangled in Elijah's dandruff cream tube like some cruel joke from the universe. My hands shook as I set the tube back in the toolbox, the metallic clang echoing off the concrete walls, louder than it should be in the quiet of our old two-story house. This place, our place, had stood for generations in Chocolate City, its creaky wooden floors worn smooth by the feet of Washington women who'd stitched survival into every quilt square. And now it felt like the foundation was cracking under me. I backed out of the garage, wiping my hands on my apron, the faint scent of machine oil and lavender soap clinging to my skin. The afternoon sun slanted through the live oaks in the yard, dappling the porch swing where Delilah and I used to rock with iced tea, swapping stories about our kids and church drama at Mount Zion Baptist. "Girl, you and Elijah are blessed," she'd say, her laugh warm as cornbread fresh from the oven. Blessed? I almost snorted at the memory, but it caught in my throat like a dry swallow. No, Zanele, don't go there yet. Think it through. Elijah had been acting off for weeks, coming home later from his fix-it jobs, his toolbox heavier than usual, like it carried more than wrenches and pipe tape. Last Tuesday, he'd brushed off my hug at the door with a quick, tired day, sugar, his eyes darting to the street, like he expected someone to pull up. And Delilah. She'd canceled our quilt circle twice, mumbling about family stuff on the phone, her voice too bright, too forced. I stepped into the kitchen, the screen door slapping shut behind me, and poured myself a glass of sweet tea from the fridge. The ice clinked against the glass, sharp and sudden, pulling me back to that morning. I'd woken early to the hum of the ancient sewing machine in my shop out back, the one Mama passed down, its pedal worn shiny from decades of feeding us through lean times. Elijah was still snoring in the bedroom, his chest rising and falling under the faded quilt I'd pieced after our daughter passed. God, that quilt. Squares of her baby blankets, bits of Elijah's old work shirts. I'd stitched it in the dead of night, needle pricking my thumb until it bled, whispering prayers to keep the grief from swallowing me whole. 20 years later, it still warmed our bed, a fragile map of what we'd lost and held on to. But now, touching that tube in the garage, it all felt tainted. Was that why he'd been distant? Not the aches of getting old at 68, but someone, Delilah, pulling him away. I sank into the chair at the Formica table, the one with the cigarette burn from Daddy's habit he kicked before I was born. My mind raced back to last night's dinner. Elijah had poked at his collards with unusual focus, his fork scraping the plate like he was carving out an escape route. "Pass the cornbread, would ya?" he'd said, not meeting my eyes, his voice flat as the humid air outside. Normally, he'd tease me about my cooking, but not lately, and Delilah had called right after, her ringtone cutting through the quiet like a siren. I'd answered, expecting her usual chatter, but she cut it short. "Hey sis, just checking in. Elijah around? Need his advice on a leaky faucet." A faucet? At her place across town. My stomach had twisted then too, but I'd laughed it off. "He's right here, girl. Hold on." When I handed him the phone, his fingers brushed mine, clammy quick, and he turned away, murmuring low, "Yeah, tomorrow works. Keep it between us for now." Us? What us? The sweet tea turned bitter on my tongue as I set the glass down, the condensation pooling like unshed tears. Keep it between us. Those words looped in my head, a record skipping on the old turntable in the living room. I wasn't some fool woman chasing shadows. I'd raised a son through widowhood after Marcus's daddy died young, built my seamstress shop from scraps and stubborn hope, and mended more than dresses in this town. Folks on Auburn Avenue called me the quilt queen, said my stitches held families together tighter than any glue. But this felt like a tear I couldn't mend, a rip right through the heart of everything. Delilah, of all people. We'd met at 16, bonding over shared shifts at the mill, her mama's fried chicken recipe becoming our Friday ritual. When my girl died in that car wreck, Delilah sat with me for 3 days straight, her arms around me as we rocked on this very porch, humming, "His eye is on the sparrow," until the sobs eased. Sisters, not by blood, but by choice. Thicker than that, or so I'd thought. But storms don't always announce themselves with thunder. They creep in quiet as a loose thread. I stood up, pacing the linoleum floor, my orthopedic shoes squeaking softly. What if it wasn't just a fling? What if it went deeper, like those whispers I'd overheard last month at church potluck? Elijah joking with Brother Jenkins about fixing up the old place for a fresh start? Fresh start. My chest tightened, a familiar ache blooming behind my ribs, the kind that had hit when the doctor said our baby girl wouldn't make it through the night. No, Zanele, breathe. Don't let the what-ifs unravel you yet. I needed proof, something solid to stitch this mess together or cut it clean. Grabbing my purse from the hook by the door, the one with the beaded fringe Delilah gave me for my birthday, I headed out to the shop. The backyard hummed with cicadas, the air thick with the scent of magnolias from the neighbor's yard, but it did nothing to ease the knot in my throat. Inside the shop, bolts of fabric leaned against the walls like colorful sentinels. Deep indigo blues for Sunday dresses, vibrant kente prints for the culture festival, soft flannel for baby blankets. My machine sat silent on its scarred oak table, the bobbin half filled with thread from yesterday's hem job for Mrs. Harris. I flipped on the light, the bulb buzzing to life, and sank onto the stool, pulling out my phone. My fingers hovered over Loretta's number. She'd retired from the force years ago, but still did favors for old friends, her voice gravelly from too many smokes. I hit call, the ring echoing in the space. "Loretta, it's Zanele. I think Elijah's stepping out with Delilah." The words tumbled out, raw and jagged, like ripping a seam without pins. There was a pause on the line, then her sigh, heavy as summer rain. "Lord, have mercy, girl. All right, give me a day, but Zane, whatever you find, remember, you're the one who stitches it back." I hung up, staring at the phone, my reflection faint in the darkened screen. Gray streaks in my braids, lines etched deep around my eyes from laughing and crying too hard over the years. Stitches it back. Yeah, but first, I had to see the tear for what it was. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the fabric piles, I whispered to the empty shop, "Grandma, if you're listening up there, send me a sign. Show me how to hold this family together, or let go without falling apart." The machine's pedal creaked under my foot as I rocked it idly, the empty needle glinting like a question mark. Tomorrow couldn't come fast enough. The next morning hit like a freight train, the kind that rumbled through Chocolate City back when the tracks cut close to Auburn Avenue. I barely slept, tossing under that quilt that now felt more like a shroud, the cotton squares pressing against my skin like accusations. Elijah had rolled out at dawn, his footsteps heavy on the stairs, muttering about a quick errand before grabbing his keys and vanishing. No kiss, no "see you later, sugar," just the slam of the screen door and the roar of his pickup fading down the block. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan, its blade slicing through humid air, wondering if this was how it started for Grandma, that slow unraveling when Grandpa's eyes wandered. "No, Zanele, focus. Loretta said she'd have something by the end of the day. Until then, I couldn't sit stewing like greens left too long on the stove." I dragged myself up, the floorboards groaning under my slippers, and shuffled to the bathroom. The mirror showed a woman I hardly recognized, bags under my eyes darker than indigo fabric in the shop, braids frizzy from sweat-damp nights. Splashing cold water on my face sharpened my resolve. If there was dirt, I'd dig it up. Back in the bedroom, Elijah's closet hung open, his work pants slung over the chair. I hesitated, fingers hovering, then snatched them up. The denim was stiff with dried sweat, the tang of pipe dope and motor oil hitting me, smells of a lifetime. But in the pockets, a crumpled receipt. Soul food joint, indicator, 8:47 p.m. last night. 2 plates, grilled catfish, candied yams, and sweet red wine. Wine? We hadn't opened a bottle since Marcus's graduation. Total 62, 43 for 2. Elijah hated Decatur traffic. Too far for good eats. So why there? Alone? Or not? I folded the receipt on the dresser, smoothing it like I could iron out the lie, heart thumping with the distant train whistle. Keep it between us, he'd whispered. Between him and who? Delilah's place was off the Decatur line. Easy hop for a fix-it. God, was I piecing this like a detective show, but it fit too neatly like scraps for a quilt I didn't want. I shoved the receipt in my apron pocket, paper crinkling like dry leaves, and headed downstairs. The kitchen clock ticked each second a needle prick. 9:15 a.m. Loretta wouldn't call till the afternoon. I needed to move, do something with my hands before worry chewed me up. In the shop, morning light filtered through dusty blinds, casting stripes across the cutting table, with yesterday's patterns scattered. I busied pinning a hem on Mrs. Harris's dress, straight pins cool and sharp between my fingers, but my mind wandered like thread off a bobbin. What if nothing? A one-off lunch, old friends, but the hair in the tube, clammy phone handoff, it piled up, each detail a weight. Elijah had been steady, the rock after the wreck that took our girl. We'd lean in the dark, his arm heavy, whispering, "We're in this, Zane, thick and thin." Now his errands stretched, laughs on the phone sharper like someone else's life. By noon, the shop phone jangled, Mrs. Harris' voice crackling like static. "Zanele, honey, are they ready? Wedding rehearsal tonight." I assured her. Words automatic, hung up, wrapped the dress in tissue, crinkled soft against palms. Handing it over, her eyes lingered, knowing a squint when trouble brews. "You all right, sugar? Ain't slept since the last full moon?" I forced a smile, waved her off with a joke about late nights with the machine. But as she left, bell tinkling, doubt flooded. What if everyone saw it? The crack in my armor, hands trembling on that hem. Afternoon dragged, cicadas buzzing louder than thoughts. Midway through the machine, fingers slick with frustration, my cell buzzed. Unknown number, Atlanta PD Old Guard. Loretta. I snatched it, heart slamming like a hammer on tin. "Zane, it's me. Pull up a chair. This ain't pretty." Voice low, gravel rough, chain-smoked night. I sank onto the stool, wood creaking, gripping the phone tight, knuckles aching. "Spit it out, Loretta. I can take it." Pause, whoosh of exhale. Snapped shots this morning. Elijah and Delilah are at a coffee spot by Piedmont Park, holding hands, leaning in like teenagers. The lawyer's office in Marietta, peeked at the log, real estate transfer. Your house, shop, signing to her name. Clause cuts you out, planning to flip, cash for new start together. Words landed like punches, knocking air from lungs. My house. Grandma's first free quilt after the war, walls echoing hymns. Shop where I taught Delilah stitches, laughing over threads, dreams for kids. Cash in, new start, with her. Best friend who'd held me when the world shattered, now plotting to shatter again. For stolen life on my sweat. Rage bubbled hot, tasting bile, but deeper hurt bloomed cold as a corner shadow. How long? Lies stitched in sisterhood. Hand to chest, rapid flutter under blouse, shop too small, fabric bolts closing like witnesses. Loretta. Pictures. Voice steadier than felt, questions swirling like dust in a sunbeam. Delilah's hugs off. Too quick. Toolbox Jasmine last week. Sent to email. Recording snippet outside office. Him saying she won't suspect. It's ours now. Don't do rash. Need a plan. Words echoed as I thanked, hung with numb fingers. Laptop on cutting table, screen whining to life. Grainy shots, Elijah's arm around Delilah under oaks, head on shoulder, huddled over papers, signatures black as sin. Printed them, machine whirring like a hornet, each page a stab. Ours now, betrayal not flesh. Thievery, stripping legacy threads for tangled web. Gathered prints, receipts slid into manila folder. Family papers, irony bitter as overbrewed tea. Hands autopilot, mind raced. Grandma lost land to slick kin, stitched back from nothing. Could I? Shop quietly as the printer died. Traffic hums on Peachtree filling the void. Traced finger over photo. Delilah's smile sharp as a seam ripper. Sisters. Fool I'd been. Folder burned in lap like a loaded gun, question hung heavy. How deep this rip before I stitched shut? The folder sat heavy on the cutting table like a stone in my gut, edges curling in the shop's stuffy air. Scent of fresh ink mixing with musty fabric scraps. I stared at it through the afternoon haze, sun turning indigo bolts a deeper purple like bruises on skin. How do you plan against your own heart? That's what looped in my head as I traced the tab, nail chipped from pinning. Grandma's voice whispered deep. That saying she'd mutter piecing quilts by lamplight, fingers flying even after Grandpa's wandering cost her the farm. Child, revenge ain't wild stitch. It's measured, double-backed, holds when wind howls. Measured. My hands itched for scissors to snip this mess before it unraveled everything. Elijah will be home soon, truck rumbling at 6. Hours to turn hurt sharp. Mine. Pushed back, stool scraping floorboards, paced aisle between stacks, orthopedic shoes thudding softly. Think, Zanele. Don't let rage blind you like Aunt Clara. Smashed plates after catching her man, spent years picking shards. No, needed cunning. Grandma's patterns hiding messages in threads. First, Elijah's routine. Predictable as Sunday service. Dandruff flaring evenings, slathering white cream from a blue tube, massaging scalp, humming Motown. Keeps flakes at bay, sugar. He'd grin, winking. Secret. Word soured now. Sparked an idea. Turn ritual against him? From my kit, harmless twisted right. Yanked supply drawer, runners sticking with a groan, rifled clutter, spools rattling, pins glinting, half-empty fabric glue and back. Used for stubborn hems, clear tacky, drying slowly, gripping vise. Pulse quickened, low thrum matching neighbor's lawnmower. Mixed with talc from Delilah's old compact. Powdery scent, faint as regret. Mimic cream's texture, thick white, swap in bathroom cabinet. But why stop sticky? Trap properly, pull into light. Clawfoot tub upstairs, porcelain chipped, drained finicky with hair scum. Glue dripped in fooling around, mixed bath water, set fast, binding hair, skin, hands, and edges. Lord image slapped. Elijah flailing. Delilah's curls matted, stuck like flies in honey. Grim smile tugged, bitter as chicory, fades quickly. This me, mended church banners for marches, now plotting glue trap like a hustler. Scooped glue on muslin scrap. Cool slickness oozing fingers like lies, dusted talc. Stirred toothpick, paste smooth and unassuming. Tested dab on edge. Dried minutes, taut when tugged, unyielding, not burning. Chemicals Grandma warned in mill days. Safe for skin if measures are taken. Chest tightened, triumph, nausea churning. Not just payback, reclaiming threads stolen. House, papers Loretta snapped. Cut deeper than a needle prick. Sign me out. Flip legacy for new start. Grandma's quilts in the hall, feed sack patches from girlhood. Stories sown for daughters never seeing fields fled. Over dead body. Needed Marcus looped, subtle. No full rot yet. Sharp boy, fragile where family frayed. Sunday calls, voice cracking on sister memories. Phone in hand, ringtone trilling cheerfully against quiet. Buzz stretching nerves like an overpulled thread. Mom, okay. Voice warm, wary, Birmingham traffic humming miles. Lean table, fabric dust tickling nose, forced steadiness. Hey, baby, tying loose ends, house papers, tax stuff, minute walk inheritance clause? Beat silence, laugh, easy probing. Taxes again. Sound off. Dad says something? Off like a crooked seam. Swallowed lump, salt-bitten lip. Nah, cautious. Old place. Grandma's gift. Can't slip. Dove Legalese lawyer clip, but worry-threaded words pause after family. Good boy, sniffing trouble. If Dad pushes weird, call. Loop notary, ironclad. Pushing, if new. Will do, son. Love you. Hung, phone warm palm, anchor amid storm. Back plan, real meat. Glue swap step 1. Easy tonight. Post shower, back turned. Lure, fake trip. Tell Elijah heading to Jamaican. Sewing retreat, old mill gals. House empty. Picked plate. He'd bite. Eyes lit last. Week overnight mention. Flicker, eager cat, open door. Trigger. Slow simmer, oil pot stove. Timed smoke, anew. Gage, nabo Colladville cops. Mrs. Harris next door. Peeking blinds, dialing 911 with trouble. Smoke no fire, panic no flames, badges bathroom door. Skin prickled, shiver humid warmth seeping through the walls. Cruel, earned auctioning grandma's walls getaway fund. Wiped hands, rag, cloth, rough glue residue, tucked test scrap pocket, talisman proof stitch destructi. On neat healing. Evening crept, shadows lengthening floor like fin, Jer's serrettes, gathered folder-slipped safe floorboards, Grandma's pin money hide, hinges whispering close. Elijah's truck rumbled down the drive, headlights cutting through the dusk. Straightened apron, smoothed braids, stepped meet, heart steadying resolve. Hey, sugar, good day? Smile tired, genuine seeming, coughed a quick glance past the empty porch. Long one, supper. Supper, normalcy mask. Collards cornbread. Listen, invite Macon tomorrow. Girls' old days, sewing circle, gone till evening. Fork paused mid-a. Your table, eyes lighting hair bright. Sounds if the house is quiet without you. Quiet, loaded. Chewed oblivious, sipped tea, cool tongue, plotting swap mind's eye. The gluey waited for the cabinet, an innocent sleeping snake. Tomorrow trap spring. Deep whisper nagged. Mending rip us beyond repair. Pushed aside, click fork focus. One stitch time, Zanele. Hold world or tear clean. I didn't head to Macon like I told Elijah. No, ma'am, that was just the bait, sweet as honey on a trap. Instead, I slipped over to Loretta's place, 3 doors down. My overnight bag slung over one shoulder like a guilty secret, the strap digging into my collarbone with every step on the cracked sidewalk. The morning air hung thick with the smell of fresh-cut grass from Mr. Jenkins's yard, but it did nothing to cut the sour churn in my stomach. What was I doing, Zanele? Playing God with glue and smoke, turning our home into a stage for their downfall. Grandma would have clucked her tongue, saying, "Vengeance is the Lord's child," but she'd lost her plot to kinfolk lies too, stitched her fury into patterns that outlasted the pain. This was my pattern now, measured and mean. Loretta's door creaked open before I knocked, her face peering out like a wary owl, cigarette dangling from her lips. "Get in here, girl. Coffee's hot, but your nerves are hotter." She pulled me inside, the living room dim with drawn shades, smelling of stale smoke and yesterday's fried okra. We settled at her kitchen table, scarred oak that had seen more confessions than a priest's booth, and I unpacked the plan in hushed tones. The glue swap last night, smooth as sin while Elijah snored, the tampered tube now tucked innocent in the medicine cabinet. "Time the oil pot for noon," I whispered, my voice rough as sandpaper, fingers tracing the rim of my mug, the ceramic warm against my palm. "Smoke'll billow just enough. Mrs. Harris'll call it in faster than you can say fire drill." Loretta nodded slowly, exhaling a plume that curled toward the ceiling fan, her eyes sharp behind bifocals. "Smart, Zane, but you sure? Once the cops roll up, ain't no undoing it." "Sure." My chest squeezed, a vice of doubt and fire, picturing Delilah's laugh turning to gasps, Elijah's steady hands flailing uselessly. "They stole more than trust, Loretta. My home, Grandma's threads. They signed me out like yesterday's trash." She squeezed my hand, callous as rough as mine, and handed over the Bluetooth adapter for the old radio I'd stashed in the upstairs bathroom last week. "Hook this to your phone. Audio only, keeps it clean, no cameras spying where they shouldn't." I nodded, pocketing it, the plastic cool and foreign against my apron, a lifeline to the chaos I'd set loose. By 9:45, I was parked in Loretta's back room, phone propped on a lace doily, the app linking to the radio with a soft beep that echoed my heartbeat. The house felt miles away, yet every creak of settling wood filtered through like a ghost whispering secrets. Elijah's voice crackled first, tinny but clear, the phone's speaker buzzing faint static. "Come on over, Dee. Zanele's gone till late. Road's clear." Dee. That nickname hit like a slap, casual as breath, pulling memories of Delilah cooing it over shared peach cobbler, her hand on my knee in solidarity. Now it twisted, intimate and stolen. A pause, then her laugh, light and eager like wind chimes in a storm. "Be there in 10. Missed you something fierce." "Missed you." My nails dug into my palms, crescents of pain grounding the nausea rising hot. Loretta shot me a look, "Stay cool," but I couldn't tear my eyes from the screen, the waveform dancing erratically as my pulse. 10 minutes stretched eternal, the clock on Loretta's wall ticking louder than a gospel choir, each second stacking doubt like unsorted scraps. What if they didn't come? What if Elijah smelled the setup, that faint chemical whiff from the glue I'd missed wiping clean? But then, door latch clicking distant through the feed, footsteps muffled on the runner rug, heavy and hurried. "Lock it behind you," Elijah murmured, voice low and hungry, followed by the scrape of the bolt sliding home. My breath hitched, shallow pulls that burned my throat. They moved through the hall, fabric rustling softly, a zipper's whisper that turned my stomach. Upstairs? Delilah's tone was teasing, breathy, like she'd practiced it in mirrors. Thought you'd never ask. Stairs creaked under their weight, deliberate and slow, each groan a nail in my resolve. Lord, give me strength. Don't let me crack now. The bathroom door swung open with a familiar squeak, hinges I'd oiled myself last spring, and water rushed suddenly from the tap, a steady hiss filling the line. Elijah's chuckle rumbled next, deep and easy, the kind that used to melt me after long days. Shower first. Get that road dust off. Splash of water hitting porcelain, steam probably fogging the mirror where I'd wiped away my own fogged breath this morning. Then the cap pop. My cue, heart slamming wild as a trapped bird. Here, use this on your scalp first, he said, casual as offering salt. A pause, slick sound of application, like lotion on dry skin. Feels good already. Delilah's voice playful, close, too close. My free hand clenched the table edge, wood biting into my palm, the pain a tether against the urge to smash the phone. They slipped into the tub, water sloshing gently at first, waves lapping the sides like a lullaby gone wrong. Laughter bubbled up, low murmurs blending indistinct, words lost to splashes, but the intimacy sliced clear, a knife through butter. How many times? How deep in this house, our sanctuary? 20 minutes in, the shift came sharp, the water's rhythm faltering, a gasp cutting the feed like shattered glass. Elijah, what's this? It's sticking. Delilah's voice pitched high, panic threading the edges, water churning frantic now, slaps against porcelain, echoing wet and desperate. My hair! It's pulling on my back! My breath stopped, world narrowing to the speaker, every splatter vivid as if I stood there dripping. Elijah's grunt followed, strained and low. Hold still. Damn, it's the cream. Dripped in the water, set like concrete. Concrete. The gluey's doing its work. Slow dry turning vice, binding curls to skin, fingers to tub edge. I pictured it vivid, his face twisting, her nails scraping uselessly, the porcelain slick under futile grips. A grim satisfaction bloomed cold in my chest, chased quick by nausea. This was them, caught raw, but the house, our house, bearing witness to their shame. Can't move my arm, it's glued to the side. Delilah's cry cracked, sob hitching wet. Call someone, quiet, the neighbors. No call came, their voices tangled in curses and pleas, water sloshing wilder, drain gurgling, clogged protest. That was my cue. Fingers trembling but sure, I dialed the non-emergency line from the burner app, voice steady as prayer. Yes, ma'am, 147 Elm, Chocolate City, smoke pouring from the kitchen window. Looks bad, might be folks inside. The dispatcher's calm, units en route hung in my ear as I killed the call, the lie settling heavy like lead. Loretta's hand found my shoulder, squeezed firm. It's done, Zane, let it play. But as sirens wailed distant, growing to thunder, my mind raced ahead. Cops at the door, axe splintering wood, badges flashing on their naked panic. The feet caught the first knock, pounding thunderous, Elijah's yell muffled. Coming, wait! Too late. Door crashed inward, boots stomping hall, voices barking. Atlanta PD, clear the house! Upstairs, their screams peaked, glue unyielding as vows broken. The line went live with chaos, splash and shout, and officers, what in the folks, stay still, followed by Delilah's wail, raw as a skinned knee. Help, can't move! Elijah's plea cracked next. It's stuck, get it off. My throat closed, tears pricking hot. Not for them, but the echo in empty rooms, Grandma's quilts absorbing the sin. Cops worked deliberately, shears snipping carefully, water dripping steadily now, drain freed but damage done. Ma'am, sir, easy does it. Looks like some kind of adhesive mishap. Mishap, if only. As they hauled them out, wrapped a hasty towel, the feed caught Delilah's sob breaking. Elijah, tell her. About us, about what we are. Him? What are we? The words hung, a thread pulled loose, my heart stuttering. Loretta killed the app, the room falling silent, save my ragged breath. What secret now to twist this knife deeper? The ambulance sirens wailed like banshees down Elm Street, cutting through the humid afternoon haze as I slipped from Loretta's back door, my overnight bag thumping against my hip with every hurried step. My heart hammered in time with the distant chaos, a wild drumbeat that drowned out the cicadas' hum. But I kept my face neutral, chin up like I was just a neighbor strolling home from coffee. Smoke still curled lazily from my kitchen window. harmless wisps from the oil pot, but enough to draw the whole block like moths to a porch light. Mrs. Harris was out front already, fanning herself with a church bulletin, her eyes wide as saucers. "Zanele, Lord girl. You back early? Cops swarming your place." Said something about a spill-turned-sticky mess upstairs. Sticky mess. If she only knew the half, her gossip chain would have lit up faster than fireflies at dusk. I forced a gasp, hand to my chest, feeling the rapid flutter beneath my blouse. "What? I was just at Loretta's—" "Oh God, Elijah!" Inside Triumph warred with a sour twist of dread. This was it, the rip torn wide, but what threads would be left to mend? I pushed through the gathering crowd, old Mr. Jenkins muttering prayers, kids peeking from behind skirts, the air thick with whispers and the sharp tang of burnt oil lingering faintly. The front door hung ajar, splintered at the latch from the cop's entry, wood fibers fanned like ruffled feathers. Uniforms milled in the hall, radios crackling static bursts, their boots tracking mud across Grandma's runner rug. The one I'd knotted from her old dresses, colors faded but stories bright. "Ma'am." A young officer turned, badge glinting under the foyer lamp, his face flushed pink under the brim. "Mrs. Washington, your husband's inside. Minor incident, no fire, but they're en route to Grady. You coming?" My nod came automatic, throat dry as cotton, but my mind raced ahead. Grady, with its sterile halls smelling of bleach and regret, the same place they'd wheeled our girl out 20 years back, her hand limp in mine. No, Zanele. Focus on the now, the glue drying their lies into something they couldn't wash away. The ambulance doors yawned open in the driveway, paramedics hovering like shadows, and there they were. Elijah on a gurney, towel wrapped and pale under the fluorescent strobes, his scalp patchy with dried white residue, eyes darting wild like a cornered possum. Delilah beside him, curls matted into a tangled crown, her arms strapped awkwardly to avoid pulling the bond, face streaked with mascara rivers. "Zanele," Elijah croaked as they loaded him, voice cracking like dry twigs, his hand twitching toward me but stopping short, taped and tentative. I climbed in after, the rig's interior cool and clinical, vinyl seats sticking to my skirt, the beeps of monitors syncing with my pulse. Delilah wouldn't meet my eyes, staring fixed at the partition, her breath hitching softly, like sobs swallowed whole. Betrayal hung heavy in the confined space, thicker than the antiseptic sting, but under it a flicker of something raw. Pity? For them, tangled in their own web, or for me, the spider who'd spun it? At Grady, the ER buzzed chaotically, beeps and moans blending into a low roar, fluorescent hum overhead buzzing like angry bees, the linoleum floor scuffed shiny from countless dragged heels. They wheeled them into adjacent bays, curtains whispering shut on rails, and a nurse, sturdy woman with a name tag reading Tina, patted my arm, her touch firm but kind. "Family rooms down the hall, hun. Docs'll sort the adhesive. Acetone bath, maybe some snips, won't take long." Adhesive. Clinical word for my revenge, turning sin into a medical footnote. I lingered by the curtain gap, peeking through the slit, heart squeezing at the sight. Elijah wincing as a tech dabbed solvent on his scalp, the sharp citrus whiff cutting the air even from here. Delilah hissing through clenched teeth, her technician gentle with scissors, snipping free the last glue threads binding her to the towel's edge. "Easy now," the tech murmured. But Delilah's eyes, those eyes I'd trusted for secrets, flashed with something broken, a plea unspoken. "Zanele, wait!" Elijah's voice rasped from his bay, curtain rustling as he sat up, ivy line tugging at his arm. I stepped in full, the divider between us thin as tissue, my hands clasped tight to hide the tremble. "Don't, Elijah! Save it for the preacher!" But he reached anyway, fingers gnarled and glue-flecked, brushing my wrist light as a sigh. "It ain't what you think, Dee and me. We got history, but the house, that was her idea, pushing the papers. I just signed to keep peace." Peace. The word landed like a slap, hot and hollow, my skin crawling under his touch. History, with Delilah, my sister in all but blood, the one who'd braided my hair through chemo scares for friends, shared recipes stained with our tears. Rage flared quickly, a spark on dry tinder, but I banked it, voice steady as a hymn. "History doesn't excuse stealing my home, Elijah. Grandma's wall's the shop, your signature on those deeds. That's the piece you bought?" His face crumpled, lines deepening like cracks in parched earth, eyes glistening under the harsh light. I panicked, Zane, age creepin', feeling like dead weight. D. She made me believe we could start fresh away from all this. Fresh. Away. The words echoed hollow, twisting the knife deeper, but before I could fire back, Delilah's curtain twitched, her voice slicing thin and trembling from the other side. Zanele. Stop. Let me say it. She leaned forward, towel slipping slightly to reveal red welts where glue had gripped, her gaze finally locking mine, raw, stripped bare, no more masks. He's lying partial. The papers. That was him pushing me to sign, saying it'd free us from secrets. But the real secret, Elijah. He's my half-brother. Same daddy, different mamas. Back when his folks lived down in Macon before he met you. Brother. The word detonated silently, shock rippling through me like a dropped stitch unraveling row by row. Half-brother. The man I'd buried beside in church pews, shared beds and burdens with, tied by blood to the woman I'd called sister. My knees buckled soft, hand gripping the bed rail cold and slick, the room tilting under the fluorescent glare. All these years, you knew. My voice came whisper thin, tasting ash, mind reeling. The awkward hugs at family gatherings, Delilah's flushes when Elijah teased her like kin, the D nickname suddenly twisted grotesque. Elijah's head snapped toward her bay, face draining gray as fogged glass. D, no, why now? But she pressed on, tears carving clean tracks down her cheeks, voice gaining steel like a seamstress threading a storm. Because it's out, Elijah. The glue, the cops. God's judging us, and I can't lie to Zanele anymore. She held me when Mama died, taught me stitches that saved my sanity. And you hid me, brother, left me scraping by till guilt pulled you close again. Guilt, not love, but chains of blood and shame twisted into this forbidden knot. My chest heaved, breath shallow and sharp, the antiseptic burn now choking, walls closing like bolted fabric. Brother, the revelation shifted everything, rage fracturing into shards of pity. For the boy, Elijah must have been orphaned by a daddy's wandering seed. For Delilah raised in shadows, grasping at the family that shunned her. But pity didn't erase the theft, the signatures slashing my legacy like careless shears. You both knew this and still? The question hung ragged, my fingers white-knuckled on the rail, the distant ER clamor fading to a dull roar. Nurses bustled past, Tina shooting a concerned glance. Folks, keep it down. Doc's coming. But Elijah slumped, defeated, murmuring. I buried it deep, Zane. Feared losing you, our life. Dee reached out years back, needy. And it snowballed. Snowballed into lies that glued them, literally exposed raw under badges and blades. I pulled back, the curtains swishing cold against my arm, bile rising hot. Pity warred with fury, a tangle no needle could sort, but one truth burned clear. They'd cracked my world, but I held the mending thread. As a doctor approached, stethoscope swinging like a pendulum, my phone vibrated in my pocket. Marcus's name flashing, his Sunday check-in early, voice bound to crack when I spilled this rot. How to tell my boy his daddy's blood ran twisted with his auntie's ghost. The question lodged deep, unanswered, as the doc's voice cut in. Mrs. Washington, let's talk next steps. Next steps. Yeah, the first towards stitching this nightmare shut or letting it bleed out clean. The days blurred into haze after Grady, fog rolling thick off the Chattahoochee, smothering sharp edges with dull ache. Word spread through Chocolate City faster than gospel at revival. Mrs. Harris's line lit up first, then barbershop whispers curling like smoke I couldn't wave away. Stuck tighter than molasses in January, Mr. Jenkins chuckled low at the bodega, eyes twinkling. Sorry, not sorry. Poor Zanele. Glue from her shop turned tube into a love trap. Love trap. Phrase stuck bitter as burnt toast, retelling stripping layers till I felt naked as them in that ambulance. Nodded through it, murmuring God's will or will mend. But inside, storm raged quietly. Fury whipping exhaustion's walls, threatening to topple what held me, sweep the family after the flood. One soggy scrap at a time, but hands shook, pinning hems, needles slipping like trust through fingers. Elijah came home 2 days later, discharged with a solvent bottle and ointment script, scalp raw red under a low-pulled cap. Front door creaked mid-morning, hinges loose from cop's breach, him standing threshold, duffel slumped, shoulders hunched, carrying unsaid sins. Zane, so, can I come in? Voice scraped soft, eyes downcast, to the denim scrap welcome mat, fibers frayed from comings and goings. lingered kitchen doorway, arms crossed tight over apron, simmering green scent, wafting barrier neither crossed. Come in. To home he deeded away, bed shared turning sour. Your house too, Elijah, for now. Words landed flat. No fee, Reno warmth, chest hollowing as an empty bobbin. Shuffled past, boots scuffing rug, bag thudding loud and quiet. No hug, no apology rush. Just sinking armchair, springs groaning like my bones after a long stitch. Tried evening after supper, collards, corn brew, and mechanical portions size tasting ash. TV droned low, good times rerun flickering blue across face, fork idle over plate, peas untouched. Zane, sorry, for all. Sorry, hung limp, too small for chasm, fork pausing mid-yam, metal cool against lip. Sore at the eye for the arms around Delilah in the park? Signatures slashing names from deeds like careless rip? Half-brothers secret fester in for G 40 years, blood-twisted profane? Set fork deliberate, clink sharp as snapped thread, met eyes, red-rimmed pleading like a boy filching cookies. Sorry, don't glue back broke Elijah. U.D. Brother, sister, hid time, built lies top, house, grandma's legacy, shop, signed cell under like renter. Voice even, but inside waves crashed, hurt surging hot, ebbing cold pity for scared kid, daddy's shadow long absent. Leaned forward, elbows, knees, hands clasping loose prayer without faith. Started innocent. D reaching after mama passed, needin' family. Helped quiet, money talk. Then shifted. Loneliness, Zane. Gettin' old, watchin' you strong shop, me fixin' leaks, made feel. Wanted again. Wanted, landed soft, sliced deep. Throat tightening lump unshed tears. Wanted, after 38 years wanting through bad back, empty nests, bearing girl rising anyway. Pity flickered stronger, mingling few with rye, oil, and vinegar, unstable and sharp. Papers, you toad, rubbing neck glue, ipped skin tender pink. Yeah, her pushin', me weak, thought clean break, sell, split cash, start over without draggin' you. Dragon, as if hadn't it carried both, stitching dreams rags while tinkering with pipes, stood slow, chair scraping, sound grating truth dragged bare. Get out, Elijah. Couch tonight, then. Don't know. Not here. Not this. Rose, hesitant, eyes glistening, nodded. Defeat heavy duffel grabbed. Door clicked shut, softly, the living room echoing empty, the TV laugh track mocking hollow. Night sleep dodged, guilty shadow, quilt tangled legs restless, moon slicing blind silver bars bed. Delilah's letter arrived dawn. Slipped under the door contraband, envelope trembling grip, tore open kitchen table. Coffee mug steam curling witness. Dearest Zanele, sister soul not blood. Forgive pen, words fail face to face. Glue-bound physical, real stick Elijah's hold, brotherly guilt twist and wrong. Papers cornered, saying free secrets wait, half-sisterhood keep you. Signed blind, Zane, dreamin' family not fracture you. Gave stitches sanity, mama faded, shared table kin. Broke sacred, no excuse, regret deep in Georgia clay. Don't soil light, mend without, if you can. Love lost, D. Ink blurred, tear didn't fight, paper crumpling fist, script looping, elegant snipped curls, signed blind, cornered, twist gently sure, not partner's crime, Delilah upon Elijah's shame game, hunger belonging, warped buried seed. Pity swelled fuller, softening rage edges, hurt lingered stubborn, not no solvent dissolved. Half-truth swallowed, call sister, he pulled string, says shadows. Storm bro, afternoon prayer circle. Mount Zion basement, air thick with coffee urn steam. Murmurs of amends. Folding chairs scraping linoleum, 24 settled. In a ragged semicircle. Ruth led, Bible thumping psalms. Voice booming, rich fans hum. Lord, valley shadows, stitched hole. Hook deep, pulling under, sat wedged Ruby Tate. Shoulders warm, pressing's arms. Came air not answers, slipped late. Had dew, when wide brim hat, but circle turned, eyes soft knowin', Ruth's gaze lingering gently. Zanele child, heard wind blow hard, share spirit moves. Share, throat closed, coffee bitter tongue, room held breath expectant, quilt faces, pieced shared sorrows. Widows' mamas, buried babies, stitched civil rights marches, quiet betrayals. It did, started low, voice cracking dry earth, fingers twisting napkin shreds lap. Husband, best friend. Tangled lies near took home heart. Blood secrets, stolen deeds, ripped raw. Murmurs sympathetic, heads nodding slowly, Tate patting knee, gnarled hand, rosewater resolve. Ruth leaned, Bible forgotten, whispering her a sermon. Mend sister, Lord thread and needle. Threaden, swallowed hard, napkin fibers sticking damp palms, circle warmth seeping chill. Slow, pity creepin' mess tear. Bleed still. Forgive rip roots. Voices overlap tapestry testimonies. Ruby man's gambling ruin stitching food stamps. Tate daughter's addiction mending visit time. Pity first stitch, Zanele. Ruth final, hand mine steady anchor. Holds edges, forgiveness sets. Don't rush, dry true. Words settled deep, easing the vice chest. Basement air lighter rose closing prayer. Hands linking chain strong. Pity stitch, first hold, not heel. Walking home, oaks dripping Spanish moss, sun breaking clouds gold. Storm ebbed, mud slog, ground firm beneath. Backshop evening, the machine hummed foo, pedal worn, smooth, tentative knockback door. Delilah hesitant. Envelope clutch at shield, curls shorn uneven. Face gaw in porch light. Zane, talk, not forgiveness, just truth. Truth, pulled aside, machine idle quietly yet, nodded stepping, yard fireflies blinked tentative, spilled halting, Elijah's calls pulling, secret weight crushing resolve, papers signed haze, family finally. Saw mother sister, lean strength betrayed worst, voice broke worst, tears glistening dew leaves, pity flooded full, washing rage embers. Go Dee! Soft hand, light arm, touch electric old warmth. Hey, Altier, separate. Mine mending is slow. Nodded, slipping dusk, returned machine, needle-piercing cloth, deliberately whir-bomb. Folder weighted safe, evidence stacked unsorted scraps, Marcus voice speaker tomorrow. Mom, coming down, laced worry love. Healing started, stitch visible, real mend. Question lingered, needle poised. Quilt family whole again, pattern changed forever. Marcus's truck crunched gravel in the driveway that Friday. Tires kicking up dust like a reluctant sigh. Engine cutting off abrupt under live oak shade. Heard it from blocks away. Rumble sinking not in chest. Mix bomb fresh bruise. Boy barreling from Birmingham shore wreckage. Voice phone last night's steady laced lawyer's edge. Mom, packing now. We'll sort this. Sort this. Family fractures mended like legal briefs, stamped filed, wiped flower hands, dish towel, cotton rough calluses, stepped porch, boards war, ember fay at midday sun, unfolded cab young oak, tall solid button down rolled elbows, duffel slung shoulder eyes, dark pools, sisters held storm clouds birthed. Mom. One word, arms opening wide, folded into him, shirt chorus stark, each faint cologne, hug crushing tight, squeezed tears hadn't shed. Baby, drove straight through, pulled back, hands framing face gently, thumb brushing flower-streaked cheek. Couldn't sleep thinking you holding court alone. Dad, D. Hell happened? Hell fit, tidy world dragged through, scorched, sticky, carried bag inside, screen door slapping punctuation, settled at the kitchen table, cornbread steamed open-faced, golden crust flacken, G-butter knife passed, air heavy yeast greens, simmering stove, ritual comfort, tasted tentative, bite Marcus took deliberate, fork scraping, plate soft probing. Talk, Mom. Glue call, cops hospital, spill all. Spill. Damn crack as slowly, ow. Words tumbling, halting coffee mugs, steam curling witness laid deeds, half-sibling, shadow-twisting, fling biblical wrong, Elijah's guilt glue binding tighter trap. Listened stone still, jaw-clenching white bites, freehand drumming silent table edge, nails tapping Morse fury. Son of a signing legacy? Our legacy? Bury papers, court mom? Notary fraud, undue influence, hell conspiracy, D new depth. Fury, matched mind's embers, younger, hotter, flaring quick, smoldered patiently. Covered hand, stilling drum, skin warm and familiar, calloused gavel, practice des. Ich back home. Easy, son. Court fixes deeds, heart, God's needlework. Deflated slightly, fork pausing midair, yams dangling golden. How breathin', Mom? After everything? Breathin', barely, night ceiling, fan lazy spin, replaying Delilah's wail radio, Elijah's plea cracking old plaster. Here Marcus's solid presence fills the chair across, air lightened, threads us pulling taut. Supper stretched evening, plates cleared, real feast, stories swapped, Seconds cobbler, peach oozing sweet ice cream melting slowly. Kitchen lamp cast warm pools of formica, shadows dancing soft, leaned elbows close, laugh pulling reluctant tails, Birmingham clients. Crazy screen door battleship. Quip voice dropping, conspiratorial. None crazier, dad pulling this. Deserve better, mom, always. Better. Warmed cobbler's crust, flaky true, prick two, reminding of an empty chair Elijah should have sat, cornbread portion coal to congealed fridge. Better's comin', baby, and time. Nodded, spoon scraping bowl clean, eyes searched deep, boyish worry piquing man's resolve. Stay in bit, mom. Help shop for books, run interference, dad shows. Interference. Heart swelled full, ache easing dull throb, Marcus piecing pattern, threads strong grip hugged goodnight. Bedroom door clicking soft hall. Saturday dawned, sticky hot, humidity clinging regret, shop buzzed a leave, Marcus's energy. Dived invoices, cutting table, calculator clicking rapid castanets, brow furrowed columns slid fog. Mom, hotel orders, Goldman pushes delivery schedules. Push, always pushing, tugging the bed after the wreck, brewing weak coffee, 1 foot, mom, other, watched machine, pedal thumping steady foot, needle piercing broadcloth, even Rose Deacon's robe, thread humming taught us. Remember stitch and pattern sister's Easter dress? Asked softly, voice weaving whir. Glanced up, smile crooked, nostalgic. Forget, twirled him flew, damn near chandelier. Laughter bubbled, shared, light piercing morning glare blinds. Eyes softened, serious, quick. Miss her, miss us whole, were us whole. Hung, needle pausing midair, chest catching ghost twirl, giggles echoing faintly. Stitch a new hole, son. Patch, patch. Real men threaded afternoon, backdoor knocking, tentative half-formed prayer. Wiped sweat, brow, back, wrist, fabric dust. Gritty skin, open Delilah. Thinner frame, curls cropped close style, taught 30 years, hands twisting paper sack, clutched lifeline. Zane, not stayin', just this. Voice trembled, leaf thin, eyes downcast, stoops chipped paint, thrust sack forward, crinkle loud, quiet yard. Inside, folded letter spool thread, indigo blue, favorite night skies, borrowed kit, last Christmas, ready class, have me, learn not linger. Class, free sewing circle, floated lady's prayer, notion born Ruth's words, turning shop sanctuary hands idle grief, have her. Fingers brushed, taking sack, cool, tentative, touch sparking old warmth-laced caution, like quilt hidden thorns. Sit Dee, cobbler's left supper. Perched stool edge, sack truce flag, poured tea shaky, steam rising ghost thin. Letter unfold slowly ow, script looping careful, lined paper, words spilling regret, measured strokes. Sister Zanele, blood knot, mothered lost parts, stitched sanity threads frayed. Elijah's shadow pulled wrong, light. Calls back straight seams. No beg forgive, promise learn quiet, mend rip separate, yours need space. Straight seams, hook deep, pulling tears hoed, folded away, paper whispering soft palm. New depth D, brother tie, push papers, nodded, cup trembling lips, tea sloshes light. New drowned, guilt blind Zane, wanted family bad, grabbed twisted. Twisted, pity flooded fuller, softening scar hard, face crumpling mirror fractures. Class Tuesday, bring a kit. Smile broke tentatively, sun filtering through the window, catching tears prisms. Thank you, means stitches. Stitches, first hold, not full mend, enough start pattern. Evening yard fireflies spark tentative mason jar lids, clinking chaste glows kids, whoops pulling reluctant grass damp cool toes. Got one! Capit gentle, light pulse, ink faint gold glass, holding palm, warm alive. See mom, dark, something's shinin'. Jars glow mirrored, easing chest, threads us, mother son frayed rewoven, holding night breeze rustling leaves. Released firefly, wink-free dusk, shadow lingered. Elijah's truck absent drive, armchair dust gathering living. Men progressed, visible Marcus's laugh lines deepening. Full quilt, question hummed quiet jars fading pulse. Invite loose thread back, cut clean good. 3 months slipped by like a thread through a well-oiled bobbin. Shop on Auburn Avenue, transforming into a quiet refuge. A beating heart on a block, a bell jingling non-stop. Curious feet whispered hopes. Scandal faded front porch chatter. Backroom legend. Zanele's glue caper. chuckled beauty parlor, shakes heads, clucks tongues. Fallout lingered, sweet redemption pie, pulling women door, not hems alone, circle-stitched Ruth's prayer words, frayed edges. Tuesday bloomed busiest, free sewing class, spilling chairs. Yard air thick inside, fans whirring lazy heat. Kente calico unfurled, invitations rebuild. Zanele, indigo sing in me, Miss Ruby'd say. Arthritic fingers pinching gently, eyes sparkling, thick lenses tracing pattern as memory quilt, square as late husband shirts, faded blue collars whispering factory shifts, stolen kisses, singin', cloth stories. Ours, so did we, needles flashing silver lamplight, laughter punctuating whir machines, grace notes spiritual. Atlanta Journal-Constitution caught wind mid-July. Reporters see Arla unannounced with ad notepad and a tape recorder, locks tied neatly, a professional warm smile, and knew the weight of black women's whispers. Mrs. Washington, Zanele, sit in class. Folks say weavin' more quilts days. Weavined. Hooked knotted stool, scrape wood linoleum, sharp sudden hush, 20 eyes flicking, curious dipping stitches. Class hummed, voices overlapping softly. Mrs. Tate patched girl's wedding gown, betrayal bust up. Thread pulling taught resolve. Carla jotted furious, recorder whirring discreet lap. Afterward, weak tea mismatched mugs, steam curling faint jasmine leaves, leaned conspiratorially. Heard full tale, tub, half-sibling twist, turned storm. This, shop alive bolts, bonds, women trading testimonies, patterns. Sipped slow, ceramic warm lips cracked dry spells, question turning inward tucked seam. How? One loop time, honey. Pity stitched first, held hurt, bleeding wild. Forgiveness set edges, slow drying sun. Ain't forgot, made room light. Pen paused, eyes widenin' slightly. Reflection mugs curve, lines softer, braids gleaming, silver windows slant. Light. Grandma's quilts glowed in Hall of Museums, threads enduringly woven. Marcus wove deeper patterns in summer. Birmingham commute stretching weekends, weeks guest room claiming duffel permanent law books stacked bedside sentinels. Opened office here, Mom. Legacy firm, protectin' black land, slick deeds dads. Protectin'. Pride swelled hot, eyes said breakfast dawn, skillet grease popping soft eggs easy, fork spearing yolk, golden sunlight slanted gold lace curtains. Legacy, filed motions swift. Deeds nullified, notary grilled oath, Elijah's signature exposed forgery frail. House papers landed crisp hands last month, notary seal embossed blessing. All yours, Mom. Ours. Ours. Wrapped warm, chasing chill hospital bays, arm-slinging casual shoulders poured over invoices, cutting table, calculator, clicking companion machines hum. Push Kente runs festival committee, double orders, double. Push mirrored boy tugged grief's pit, now man's weight, eyes meeting steady coffee mugs, steam blurring, grin sparked tears blinked quick. Stayin' good, baby. Shrugged easily, fork scraping plate clean. Long needs extra hands. Firm, portable. Legacy weight zip codes. Stayin'. Thought bloomed, tentative chest. Threads us tightening empty space as Elijah left. Armchair dust-rimmed living ghost chair supper. Delilah threaded back cautious August. Slipping class midweek kit clutched shy arm. Cropped curls growing uneven. Face fuller, eyes shadowed storm clouds lingering. Basics, Zane, all right? Basics. Carrier-a-d humble posture, shoulders rounded, a slight blouse hemmed years, stitches holding firm pull, knotted head, table voice, even chatter pins patterns. Pull up, D, straight seams, no frills. Settled quietly back row, needle trembling, first passes, steadying quickly, laugh bubbling soft, Ruby teased not. Ridin' bike, ain't it? Bike. Old rhythms resurfacing, glances weigh tentative probes welcome, nod steady, no warmth, no chill. Break, mug steaming herbal yard, fireflies winking tentative words, set down deliberate, ceramic clink sharp side table. Mailed something, photo album, scraps mill days. Ain't askin' forgiveness, Zane. Just threads remind, want 'em. Remind, fried chicken Fridays, hand steadying chemo vigils friends. Traced mugs rim, warmth seeping palm deep. Got yesterday, thanks. Silence stretched companionably, crickets chirping underscore, sigh easing, released breath, threads, not mending fully, patching visible, album shelved grandmas, pages dog-eared possibility. Elijah's shadow lengthened dusk, Knock hesitant back door class wrapped, women filing bundles arms, goodbyes warm waves twilight. Stood cap hand, face weathered, deeper porch bulb, small wrapped parcel clutched awkward contraband. Zane. Passin' by. Thought. Shop. This. Unwrapped slow kitchen light, yellowed fabric unfolding, silver threaded swatch, embroidered delicate grandma's initial script looping elegantly, shine catching lamp glow captured moonlight. Found attic, old trunk, sewing notions, figured and stitched something. Something, fingers brushed threads, cool fine spider silk, initials blooming familiar touch, relic pieced freedom scraps. Why now, Elijah? Voice soft-edged, mug warm, other hand steam faint, shifted foot, boots scuffing the threshold. Miss Mendon ain't asking back, just thought weave right. Weave right. Pity tugged residual, eyes holding ghosts, man danced slow. Stand by me, parcel weighed light words, gesture, not glue. See, thanks. Nodded, turning dusk, truck rumbling fade, leaving swatch palm pulsing quiet question. Thread loose end back, let trail free wind. Sunup found me in the kitchen most mornings now, the percolator hissing steam like an old friend sharing secrets, coffee brewing dark and bold as the Georgia clay under our feet. I'd sip it slow on the porch steps, mug warming palms calloused from decades of needle pricks, watching the block stir awake. Mr. Jenkins is firing up his grill for early smokes, kids' laughter chasing the milk trucks rattle down Elm. At 65, my skin still held that rich mahogany glow, etched deeper with lines that mapped victories more than defeats, each crease a testament to stitches pulled through storms that should have sunk me. The betrayal scar tissue had softened to a faint pull now, not raw anymore, but a reminder, like the way a mended seam holds stronger than untouched cloth. How'd I get here, Zanele? From glue traps and gut punches to this quiet perch, legs swinging idle, steam curling into the magnolia-scented breeze. One dawn prayer at a time, I supposed, whispered thanks to Grandma up there, her quilts draping heavenly rails, for threading me through the dark without snapping. The shop thrummed fuller these days, bell tinkling a symphony from open till close. Women filing in not just for alterations, but for the circle Tuesdays had spun into a lifeline. Folding chairs groaning under hips that carried histories heavier than any bolt of broadcloth. Marcus and I tag-teamed it seamlessly now, him at the ledger with his calculator clicking crisp over invoices, me at the machine pedal thumping steady, needle flashing silver through kente for festival banners or flannel for baby wraps. Mom, that hotel chain's upping to weekly deliveries. Your peach quilt pattern sealed it. He'd call from the counter, voice booming, proud over the whir, his grin splitting wide as he tallied runs that doubled last quarter's haul. Peach quilt, the one we'd pieced together those first shattered weeks, scraps from my girl's old sundress mixed with his law school ties. Stitches uneven at first, but holding. A patchwork of us mending side by side. Teamwork, baby, I'd holler back, foot easing off the pedal to let the hum fade, rising to bump his shoulder with mine, the contact solid and sparking that boyish chuckle I'd missed like air. Teamwork. After the glue's chaos, the hospital's sterile sting, it felt like grace, his presence filling gaps Elijah's absence left, threads of mother-son woven tighter than before, resilient as the oak shading our sign. Class days swelled the heart most, the basement prayer circle evolving into yard gatherings when heat baked the linoleum sticky, women on blankets under the big oak, needles glinting in dappled light as stories spilled freer than sweet tea from a pitcher. Miss Ruby led a hymn sometimes, her alto rich and rolling, we shall overcome mid-stitch, voices joining ragged but right, hands pausing on hoops to clap rhythms that chased shadows from tired eyes. Zanele, this square, it's for my Ruby girl, lost to the streets last winter. Mrs. Tate'd murmur softly, her gnarled fingers pinning a faded bandana swatch, voice cracking on lost, but lifting steady as she threaded blue for hope. Lost. The word tugged my own ghosts, our girl's laugh echoing faint in the breeze, but sharing it aloud in the circle turned ache to anchor, each testimony a stitch binding our ripped collective. Strength ain't solo, sisters, I'd say, when my turn circled round, voice low over the snip of shears. It's the quilt we weave together, phrase and all warmer for the wear. Warmer, they'd nod then, eyes glistening communal, the air shifting lighter with amens and hugs that smelled of talc and home cooking, bonds forged firmer than any store-bought seam. Elijah drifted in edges now, not crashing waves, but gentle laps. Tuesday evenings after class, women dispersed with bundles, his knock soft like he feared shattering peace. Brought that wrench for the loose pedal, he'd mutter, toolbox clanking, tentative, cap tugged low, eyes testing thin ice. Wrench, more excuse than fix, but I'd let him tinker. Metallic clinks punctuating quiet as he knelt, grease smudging knuckles black while I folded notions, spool shadows long under the bulb. Heard the class is blowing up? Proud of you, Zane. He'd venture soft voice gravel roughed, glance flicking up then away. Proud warmed, reluctant, stirring embers of the man who'd hummed Motown while I cooked. But I kept hands busy, thread winding neat. Proud don't fix what's frayed, but thanks. Neutral ground, no bridge yet, but no moat. His nod slow as he wiped tools, rag whispering like unspoken sorries. Delilah joined sporadic, her kit shy at class fringes, stitches improving shore, her laugh rare when Ruby teased a pucker. Straight now, Dee, like riding out the bend, I'd say. Passing blue thread, her fingers brushing mine, tentative, sparking old sister bond. Thanks, Zane, for the space. Space, forgiveness in inches, not leaps. Pity stitch holding, grace setting slow, the circle hum wrapping us tentative anew. The exhibit capped it golden that crisp October eve, Auburn Avenue alive with lanterns strung like fireflies, the hall pulsing jazz riffs while quilts draped walls like banners of survival. Mine centerpiece, a sprawling freedom throw from scraps. Indigo skies over red clay fields, vines twisting resilient through storm. Zane Washington's legacy loom. The program builded. But as folks murmured oohs and ahs, Marcus slung an arm proud, whisper hot. You did this, Mom, wove hurt to wonder. Wonder shimmered as Delilah approached, her quilt square pinned, a star from mill bandana, edges neat as her curls. Fits right in, Zane, like us. Us. The circle closed tentative, Elijah lingering by punch bowls, cap off for once, silver threading his fade. Fits. As applause swelled for Ruth's prayer, hands linking chains strong, my chest swelled fuller. Pity faded to peace, forgiveness set like dried thread. The exhibit not end, but echo of mend. Yet in the quiet drive home, Marcus's truck humming steady beside mine in convoy, headlights cutting night like hopeful seams, a whisper nagged soft as loose fiber. Legacy eternal, sure, but with threads loose as Elijah's shadow, Delilah's tentative star. Could the quilt hold whole against winds yet to howl? Or would new rips demand fresh stitches, one dawn prayer at a time? I'm Zanele Washington, 65 years old, and I've learned that forgiveness isn't forgetting the tear. It's picking up the needle with steady hands and quilting a new pattern, one where light finds its way through the seams. In the end, love isn't a chain that binds us to the past. It's the freedom to cut loose the knots and fly with what remains. Whew, what a journey was Zanele, right? If her story touched something deep in you, the sting of betrayal, the quiet power of rebuilding, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss these real-life threads of resilience. Drop in the comments. What's one loose thread in your life you've mended into something stronger? I read every one, and who knows, your story might inspire the next video. Up next, we've got a tale of a grandmother reclaiming her voice after decades of silence. Trust me, it'll hit home. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing this space with us. It's your light that keeps the circle going. See you soon. Stay stitched strong.